Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War event objective for the Solar Power event, in which Solari is added to the game. So this week we end up getting 17-star Whitehelm, and most notably we're probably getting version 4.9. I'll be bringing in some bug fixes as well as some changes to shop fronts and a few other tweaks here and there. And that's likely going to be coming in around tomorrow, though we'll just have to wait and see. Other than that, let's get into things related to the event. So, Solari. This is a rather underwhelming troop. Does come with blue, yellow arcane, so if you want to stock up on that, it is ultra rare, so you can slightly. 300 glory each per each of those arcanes. Troop itself, very situational and probably not going to be used much. It gives all other allies 1/4 of their mana. There is already options out there that can do way more than this, so it's probably not going to be used that much. The fact that it does it regardless of condition, though, is somewhat okay. But still, overall, just going to be rather underwhelming. Then gets to deal some damage to an enemy, and if they are undead, it gets the curse and death mark. And the curse actually does occur before the death mark, so of course all undead do have immune to death mark. However, it does it in order in which curse, of course, removes all of their immunities, and then death mark will place a death mark on them, even though they would normally have immunity to such. So it does actually allow it to death mark the enemy. Other than that, it does have a light storm that can synergize a little bit. Overall, very rarely going to be used. Might be used a little bit this week just because it does have some synergy for some of the events. However, overall is probably not going to be touched much beyond that. So overall, probably just going to be dead content, unfortunately. But you'd still get it upgraded to help out the kingdom if nothing else. So this week, as far as bonuses, we do have it pretty much completely concentrated within the kingdom. 10% to all Whitehelm and 10% to all Divine. This will give 20% to a good majority of the Whitehelm kingdom, as a good majority of them are Divine. You'd pretty much completely skip off on doing this, as is better just to do normal soul farming rather than using this rather useless troop within your team. So I'd probably just completely skip and ignore the fact that we even get souls over there. One thing that I didn't mention last week that I actually want to go mention right now, as of last Monday, it was actually possible to have a 4th Magic Kingdom. Currently, I have 3 upgraded, 2 purple ones of Silverglade and Karkaroth, and then our 1 green one of Zul'Kari. However, we did actually get enough purples as of last week to get another one. I completely forgot to upgrade it, which means we went an entire week without it. But yeah, now even more people oh gosh, I'm actually low in gold. Fail! I need a gold farm more. Wow. Well, one thing that you can actually do for gold, might as well do it. I don't think I've ever showed it in one of the weekly videos. If you have a lot of glory and you're ever low in gold, there's a way to fix that. Boom, we fixed it. 1 million gold. Boom. Obviously, you have to convert away a lot of glory to do so. But we might as well. Obviously, we have a pretty big stack, so converting some of it away is not that bad. So you can just do that. It's obviously actually even better to do that when it's not an epic, as you end up getting even more gold. You'll get less arcanes, but you'll get more gold when doing it that way. But anyways, where was I? So, upgrading this place. We do have enough purple deeds now to do so as of last week, and now even more so, assuming that you've grabbed every single one since it came out in last September or so. So if you've been on top of every single one of them and haven't bought any of them, you'd still be able to go and get a 3rd Magic Kingdom, which means we only have one potential one left, and that is Darkstone. Even if you have been buying deeds, you'd still probably be short on getting that. And then after that, every single Magic Kingdom in the game has been capable of being maxed, and at that point, you could still, you wouldn't need to go and put all of your deeds into purple anymore. Of course, generally, whenever you get those little green writs, you end up converting them over to that of purple deeds. So that you can end up getting more of the purple kingdoms upgraded. However, soon we might actually go start getting to Imperials. Imperials are probably going to be worth it after we do all the purples. It's because a lot of kingdoms currently, as deeds are coming into the game, are coming in at a rate that is slightly slower than the amount of deeds. The deeds are coming in at a quicker rate of more than 10 per Imperial, which is basically making it so we're starting to need more Imperials. So once we finish out purples and finally have all the Magic Kingdoms upgraded, we'll probably want to go dip into Imperials. So just a little bit on that. Anyways, other than that, so as far as chests this week, we have ourselves event keys for Whitehelm, of course. Whitehelm troops. I didn't even notice that actually mentions the kingdom there now too. But Whitehelm troops, if we go over to Whitehelm over here, if you click Whitehelm as the kingdom and then show all if you don't already own everything, it'll then end up applying to show everything here. Every single thing here, except for 5 troops, are available in the event queue drop table. Those 5 include the 4 Guardian troops, all the ones that say Guardians on them, as well as, of course, the Raid troop this week, which we'll be going over, of Patience. Everything else is available. As far as should you open up event keys, I would probably pass unless you just really need the Kingdom Mythic, which of course is Gaard's avatar. I wouldn't really bother with it much, as it's rather underwhelming. Whitehelm in the past used to be among one of the better kingdoms. In the current state of the game, pretty underwhelming though. A few things are occasionally used though, like Gargoyle, like Mercy, stuff like that. However, there isn't really anything I would say is so sought after off of event keys that you'd go for it. The only thing you'd really go for potentially is Gargoyle, but you could do that off of Chaos Shards. You can't even get it off of the event keys. So that'd probably just be a good week to go and skip on event keys unless you just really need the Mythic in order to get 10 plus star Whitehelm. But that's the only situation I would really bother using event keys in this location. In every other situation, it would probably be a hard pass. Anyway, so we got ourselves some raids. Raids this week is going to be, as I mentioned, for a Whitehelm restriction. For these earlier battles, I'm kind of just going with Mountain Crusher with a billion gargoyles. Obviously, there are some other teams. I'll be mentioning them in a little bit. But for the very low-level battles, I've been doing this, and it's been working out pretty good. You could also end up doing this a little bit further if you go like an Earth's Fury, if you happen to have that route. But this is mostly just meant for the lower-level range, of course. Just to quick kill this area. So basically all we have to do is just Gargoyle, win. That is pretty much the premise here. So we throw a Gargoyle, throw another Gargoyle. If this somehow doesn't kill, we throw another Gargoyle. And there we go. And you can run through all of the early battles pretty easily with that. You can pretty much use any hero class you want. However, Titan, of course, would be the safest. And yeah, ends up working out very, very well. Obviously, this only works for the earlier range. We'll be showing some for higher range as well as cheaper, higher range. Anyways, but yeah, that's pretty much raids. Of course, the raid troop itself is okay. We end up getting two things, of course, the weapon and the new troop. As far as the new troop, isn't really anything too special. Just deals damage to an enemy boosted by purple enemies. So potentially, if the entire enemy team is purple, it would end up doing 16 additional damage, and that 16 times 5 is, what, 80 additional damage? So it could potentially hit 80 additional damage, and at minimum, we'll be hitting like something like around 20, 40, somewhere around there. As far as the weapon, we have this thing right over here. It's pretty much just a standard kind of weapon that we've been getting from a lot of these events lately. It's just a Whitehelm double gem spawner weapon. Deals damage to an enemy, and then boosted by Whitehelms, and ends up creating yellow and brown. Personally, I don't find this weapon to be as good as the other variant of Divine Protector, which ends up doing it for Divine. Divine Protector at one point was actually the most meta thing in the entire game a couple years back, but then it's still pretty good to this day. Just not as good as it once was. And personally, I would say Divine Protector is still better. Even though it's not as good as it is still better than Guardian Hammer. So do be mindful of that. And that you'd probably still want to get Guardian Hammer for collection purposes. But I do find Divine Protector, especially with how many Divine Mythics there are that can synergize with it from other kingdoms, to work out better than just a pure Whitehelm weapon. So definitely not as good as other options that exist. Speaking of that, let's go actually start heading over to Soulforge, though I can't not click the blinking tribute, so let's go grab that. Get ourselves our 15 gems to keep putting towards various events. And speaking of events, things that we have going on this week. Tomorrow we have faction for Whitehelm. I mean, for, obviously it's Whitehelm. It's Whitehelm Week. For Hall of Guardians, Hall of Guardians is the place that I mentioned that has Gargoyle. You can actually buy Gargoyle with gems tomorrow if you so choose. Obviously, it's better just to throw shards. However, if you want some guarantee copies of it, you can actually get it through gems too, through faction event. Though, of course, I'll just be throwing 30 gems in order to just get the basic event done, in order to get the 2 orbs and the 1 Volkey, as we do every Tuesday. For Wednesday, we'll be going and having a new pet. This is going to be for Whitehelm bonus. It is actually a bonus. This is not a cosmetic pet. Feel like we've been getting a billion cosmetic pets this year. Probably more cosmetic pets than actual normal pets. However, this is a real pet, and it is for Whitehelm bonus. Obviously not the greatest of bonuses these days, but it's still a bonus nonetheless. And if nothing else, it would also help you with... then again, never mind, it wouldn't. I was saying it would help you with the faction event. However, technically it won't, because the faction is happening the day before we end up getting the pet. So I guess that actually won't end up helping there, will it? This Thursday, we have Priest Class. Priest Class, not the greatest. It does have a potential +2 yellow. It actually had +2 before any hero classes had +2 or +3. So it's kind of the original one of all those to have it. In the current state of the game, it's okay. You really only use it with really heavy Divine teams. It's going to be running with that has a really high yellow dependency. More often than not, you don't tend to really use it unless you're bringing out something like Divine Protector. More often than not. And this Friday, we have 2 new things coming into the game. We're going to be having ourselves a new mythic coming in. So that mythic is, as we can currently tell, going to be pretty underwhelming. So it's probably worth considering skipping. And other than that, if I'm not mistaken, we have ourselves invasions this weekend. Of course, that's a new thing that just happens on weekends now rather than having an own week for it. but I believe that was. Actually, you can kind of see it over here because it's, oh no, it doesn't actually show it. Actually, it might be updated from the update, but last I recall, it should be invasions this weekend, and with that, it should be a pretty easy kill, just to get everything out. Invasions are normally not that bad, but, gosh, why can I not remember what it is? Fail. Let me go. There's always one way to go and check for sure. Hold up. This is why we check, but there's a backup plan. We can literally just go to the website. So, for anyone who doesn't know, I've been meaning to cover a video on this for ages, but I don't think I ever actually have. But TerransWorld.com, definitely go and check it. If you're ever wondering what on earth is happening, go over to Weekly Spoilers, and we could see that, oh, duh, it was Faction. Last week was, oh, gosh, I'm still all behind from the day-long stream we did last week. So, last week, obviously, was the invasions. This week is, of course, the new delve. We're getting a new delve. I literally just went over it last night, already forgot. So, yeah, we got a new delve. It's going to be for Cinder Mirage. It's not bringing anything too noteworthy as far as troops. However, it does have a boost ratio troop coming into it. And as you can see, we can't really see too far ahead. And that's mostly because we're getting a patch this week. Or should be. But anyways, in other news, other than me failing... Let's go over things in Soulforge. So, Soulforge things. We got ourselves Hiking Irongut. So, I'm going to actually be showing one of those kind of teams for the Delve as well that you can end up using. But, yeah, we got a lot of good options. We got Hiking Irongut. We got Wild Queen. Technically, even Vespera could be considered good. We got Fair Shra. Pretty much every mythic available right now is a good choice. Honestly, it's a pretty hard choice. It's a little bit unfortunate that, like, literally every good option came at once. Might almost even just need to do a video almost going over these, like the mythics in Soulforge this week, because honestly, all four of them are a correct choice. However, Wild Queen, Hiking Ironguts, and Fair Shra are more so the correct choice. Obviously, Fair Shra is the best soul farmer in the game. Very situational, though. You don't tend to use him that often. Like, offensively, you almost never do. He's pretty much just solely for souls. Wild Queen, obviously insanely good for Guild Wars. Arguably one of the best Guild War troops in the game, if not the best Guild War troop in the game, ever since she got buffed a little over a year ago to have a little bit better gem spawn. She has an attack steal, so you don't take damage. She gives attack to your first ally, so you kill them quicker. She gives a bunch of mana accumulation, so that counts for score as well. And even gets a Bone Storm when an ally dies if you get into that kind of situation, so you'll have even more skulls to bounce back from, since you'll probably be able to use skulls much better than the enemy, since they'll have 0 attack and you'll have much higher. So it ends up working out very, very well. Hiking Irongut, obviously, while he has fallen off a little bit, he's still insanely good for upscaling, especially if you lack any other option for doing so. He's great at getting kills, and once he gets a kill at a higher level delve or higher level pieces of content, you'll end up getting a Devour, and then that Devour will give you a bunch of stats, and then those stats will help you kill, because he boost ratio is based on his attack, and if you have at least 100 attack on them, boom, you're going to have a 100% chance to Devour, assuming they do not have immune. And even if they have immune, you can simply just use a curse option or stun option if they don't have immune to stun, and just do it that way. Though normally you end up using curse with it. Overall, insanely good mythic. And other than that, Vespera, while not as good as the other three, it is still decent for occasional purposes. It's mostly for looping a lot. It's a little bit weird in that you normally use in pure color teams, and like really pure color teams, like almost all troops that just use a single color can be used with dual color ones too, particularly things like yellow-blue or yellow-purple, stuff like that. Ends up working out decently well with as far as synergies out there. However, for the most part, it is used with a bunch of single pure color troops. And while that might seem a little bit weird to build around, it is rather effective in many situations. However, it's probably the lowest priority of the four, with the highest priority probably being, I don't know, it really comes down to preference. It basically comes down to, do you want a good delve option? Do you want a good soul farming option? Or do you want a good Guild War option / PvP option? That's pretty much what it comes down to. And which one you prefer the most is the one of the three you would go for. Anyways, in other news, Soulforge is amazing this week. But as far as weapons, as I mentioned, Divine Protector is probably the main other weapon that you would end up going for here. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by Divine allies, and then creates a bunch of red and yellow, both of which are really good for most Divine teams. This is much better than the other one that's available. However, the other one is much cheaper, and you might as well just get it through the event. I believe it costs 250 gems, if I'm not mistaken, through the raid event. So if you definitely should consider picking that up so you can help your guild out with the battles as well. We also have Doom Scripture. This weapon is useless, but still worth considering if you want it for completionist purposes. You would never actually use this weapon, however, it is there. And other than that, I believe it was all of them. There wasn't any of the other ones hiding up there. And that is Soulforge for the week. In other news, let's get over to some teams. So we got a lot of teams to show. I believe I have around 9 here. Not sure if we're actually going to be using any in PvP, as none of these are actually meant for PvP, but I did want to show them. So, First off, we have ourselves a higher rarity version of something you could run for raids. This ends up upscaling all the way if you need to run it for such. It has Urskaya Shield, which we'd obviously use on the raid boss. Patience, which you go and follow up on the raid boss to ideally one-shot it, or at least two-shot it, since you might be out of one-shot range, or one-shot it and then go into Gaard's Avatar. Mercy, which you use to full mana up your team. Depending on what kind of point you're at, you might actually even want to move these two with each other if you're at a point where she no longer one-shots, because you might want to get the Gaard's Avatar cast in first before you end up getting the Patience cast in. Really just depends. And Gaard's Avatar, obviously the main gimmick with him is that the boost ratio is based on armor, really similar to that of Rowain, actually. This is like a really high rarity Rowain that is often worse than Rowain, however situationally better. And this is one of those situations where it would be better since we can't use Rowain. But you basically just use Urskaya Shield, buff it up, get a bunch of armor, and then with that armor that upscales based on their stats, you end up gaining a really big full AoE damage. Do have a little bit of a liability of having him survive though, because of course the raid boss does have the instant kill. So if he ends up killing your Gaard's Avatar, you're in a bit of a sticky situation, since you're kind of going to have to kill with just the weapon and the Patience, which will be very, very slow. So do be very, very mindful of that. Unfortunately, there's not much of a way to really dodge that with the options that we have for this faction. So it's just something you'll have to deal with and be very careful about, and just try rushing it down as quickly as possible. For the earlier fights, as I mentioned, we already showed this team. It's just Mountain Crusher with some Gargoyles. Ends up working out really well for the very low rarity fights. Obviously, you don't run this the entire time. However, if you want to run it a little bit longer, you can try doing it with an Ursk Fury and just let them get up off of enchant and use the Ursk Fury to boost ratio of their attack and do it that way. However, if you don't have Ursk Fury, just go to the Mountain Crusher until this team doesn't work, and then just switch to a real team. And then from there, if you want to go with absolutely nothing as far as, low rarity stuff, this ends up just using the troop that you will be getting anyways if you're going to be participating in the event most likely, as well as a rare that you would most likely already have, and Solari, which you could just get for 300 glory. And with this team, you just run a Mang Titan, which will carry you pretty much most of the way. Patience, after you hit the raid boss, is what you would use to clean it up, just like you would with any other team. Since they're superior, is mostly just here to have the cleanse if you end up needing to cleanse. And Solari is here mostly just for the 1/4 mana accumulation that it can do off of its hit, and it also gets to start you with Lightstorm, which helps get Patient up a little bit quicker, so you can go for that Mang and the Patience combo. As far as other things, of course, we have ourselves Hall of Guardians for the lower range battle. Somewhat similar Gargoyle team, except obviously this time we have access to different things. In this case, we're going to have access to that of brown and yellow. And with brown and yellow, we can run Mountain Crusher, double Gargoyle, Gimlet. This will work a little bit quicker, given that Gimlet will be able to mass feed the brown to the Gargoyles by sacrificing green. But obviously, we don't need green, so that sacrifice is perfectly fine. In other news, we have this one. We have ourselves a higher level Delve one. Obviously, that one falls off by about 100, maybe even a little bit earlier than that, depending on your stats. And as far as this one, this will go all the way. It's a Mountain Crusher, Harpy Mage, hiking Irongut, which is in Soulforge right now, and Vash'Dagon. And if you don't have a Vash'Dagon, any curse option would end up working there. Or if you need to, even a stun option, though curse is generally better as it goes through impervious as well. So you don't need to worry about it in that regard. But yeah, hiking Irongut, obviously Soulforge this week, also really great for things like delves. It's pretty much its whole purpose is for running delves. There's a few other pieces of high level content it can run, but generally Delves is the main one. That and Explore 12. It's actually decent for Explore 12 if you don't have other options. But Delve is the main location where you'd end up using him. And you get a lot of mana accumulation from the Mountain Crusher plus Harpy Mage combo. Other than that, Pure Faction, we got ourselves, I'm pretty sure this is what I end up ultimately running it with when I end up getting it done. We've tried many team variants, so at this point, I honestly don't know. Almost everything could have potential. But I end up going down this route with just one Silent Sentinel, because if you can bring this team into the final battle, you have a pretty decent chance of winning. The biggest issue with ever running Pure Faction Whitehelm, which is Pure Faction Hall of Guardians, one of the biggest issues with it is the Gargoyle and second slot on the opposing team. But if you can bring this team into the final battle, you're generally going to be good in that regard. The way that you want to do it is you use Ethereal Sentry on the final battle on your Silent Sentinel, get it buffed up like crazy with a really high amount of attack. In between all that, throw Gargoyles at their Gargoyle, try to kill out the Gargoyle, and then the Skull once you have enough damage onto your Silent Sentinel. And then just try not to die. Basically, the whole issue with it is, does the Gargoyle get lucky on the opposing team? It's by far the biggest issue with trying to run Pure Faction there. Because if the Gargoyle does well, you're pretty much dead, which is obviously concerning. And other than that, for the class event, we have ourselves two options here. For the cheaper class event, we have Black Manacles into Triple Paladin. Also, if you want to do this for lower level range, you can also do this with Dawnbringer. It is better with Dawnbringer, but of course I wanted to show it with something cheaper for people that don't own Dawnbringer. That's just Triple Paladin, which feeds him to himself, or into Dawnbringer if you're using Dawnbringer there. And he ends up getting a nice boost ratio based on his armor. At one point was actually the best troop in the game, but with 20% additional stats, he'll have a pretty substantial amount of damage. Mine's currently doing like 120, 130 or something right now, and it's not even with proper metal set. So yeah, it's a pretty hefty amount of damage that can end up poking in there, especially with 20% that it has this week. And you're mostly just kind of spamming with your weapon, quick killing with that, and then getting some paladins down. Or as I mentioned, doing it with Dawnbringer and just going for the Dawnbringer full AoE for the lower range. And if you're going all the way, you could just do something like a rather similar team to what we were using before. But basically, it's just a rush up, kill with Gaard's Avatar kind of team. Urskaya Shield is there if you need. However, you could also go with Mountain Crusher, because I believe double cast Gaard's Avatar will be enough to kill. I don't think you can single cast though, but you can with Shield of Urskaya into Gaard's Avatar if you want to single cast out that way. And of course, with the raid event, gosh, can I say any of the words correctly for the Friday event? For the faction event this Friday, I'll of course be going over that then, since we won't really be able to mess around with the options until then for the Cinemirage event. But anyways, guys, that is everything pretty much with this week. As the update comes out, we'll probably be going over that on Tuesday night on stream, because that's probably going to be around the time that it happens. If anything super relevant happens with the patch, we'll probably make a little bit of a guide video kind of thing going over it, possibly this Wednesday, given that there might be some things that we'll need to go over immediately. Though as far as overall updates, most of it's just kind of like small quality of life stuff and similar things like that, a couple bug fixes here and there. But we'll still go over it. Hopefully we'll get some interesting things, still some things we don't even know about with next patch. So who knows, maybe we'll be surprised by something interesting. But anyways, guys, if you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to get around to all of them. Of course, tonight we'll be messing around with the current raid event. So if any of you want to see that and just kind of tearing through all those, we'll be doing that as we do every single night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Stay safe from the virus, and I will catch you all later. Goodbye, everyone, and thank you so much for watching. As always, goodbye.